Hello everyone, it's me, and this is your update from the front line in Ukraine. So, recently there has been a lot of talk about a possible peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. And if this happens, what does it mean for the Ukrainian soldiers who are fighting on the front line right now? Let's talk about that. As you may already know, one of the main topics discussed at the recent meeting between the leaders of Ukraine and China was the issue of bringing Russian troops home. President Zelensky stated after the meeting that he had received assurances from China that they would exert influence on Russia to bring the war to an end and bring the Russian troops back to Russia. However, the details of this potential peace plan remain unclear. So, of course, there are many questions about what this might mean for the current hostilities. Could there be a ceasefire? What about the withdrawal of Russian troops? And what does it mean for the future of the war? Well, let me tell you. Nobody here believes in any peace deal with this current Russian government. As you can probably imagine, the last 7 years have taught us a lot about Russia. And to put it simply, we don't trust them anymore. All the agreements they made, they violated all of them. The Minsk I and II, the Budapest Memorandum, the Russian-Ukrainian ceasefire agreements, the Istanbul agreements, and the most recent one, the grain deal. They violated it. By the way, Russia is also violating the Geneva Convention and the Red Cross right now by keeping civilians hostage in the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. But let's be realistic. What options do we have right now? We either continue to fight and win, or we make some concessions and stop the fighting. If we choose option 1, we keep fighting, then we will continue to have casualties every day, both military and civilian. But if we choose option 2, then we risk giving away territory in exchange for peace. And today, Ukraine's parliament passed a law prohibiting any territorial concessions to Russia. So it seems like the only option left is to keep fighting and win. But why are we still talking about this peace deal? Why don't we just keep fighting? Well, because it's not just about military victories, it's also about the cost of war. And unfortunately, the war is taking a heavy toll on our economy. Every day of war means more debt for the country, and we all know that inflation is skyrocketing. I think that our Western partners are starting to realize that they will need to help us financially for the next 10 years to rebuild the country. Therefore, I believe that the best solution would be to stop the fighting as soon as possible. Now, let's talk about what a peace deal could possibly mean for the soldiers on the front line. First of all, it would mean that they would finally be able to return home. You know, the emotional toll of war is very high, and these men have been fighting for months, if not years. They need to be able to return home to their families and friends. In addition, a peace deal would mean that the fighting would stop. And let's face it, nobody wants to go to war. It's not something that anyone enjoys. So if we can stop the fighting and still maintain our territorial integrity, I believe that this would be the best outcome. Of course, there is always the risk that Russia will not stick to any peace deal. But you know what? We have to try. We cannot simply give up hope. We need to try to find a peaceful solution to this conflict. And even if the peace deal doesn't work out, we will still be able to say that we tried. Personally, I am not willing to give up my land in exchange for peace. But I do believe that we should exhaust all peaceful options before resorting to further military action. That's all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe. And remember, Ukraine will be free from Moscow's yoke. And I'll see you in the next one. Slava Ukraine!